On a June night, Carol logged into her son's 529 college savings account to make the first tuition transfer. The screen blinked, and the balance appeared, 342.18. She clicked into the transaction history and scrolled through months of withdrawals. Her hand rose to her lips. This was an account she had built for 18 years. She dialed the plan administrator, her voice barely steady.
I am looking at my 529 account. You need to tell me what happened to the money.
The voice on the other end hesitated, then laid out the facts.
Shirley, you are saying my mother made all those withdrawals? For 8 months and no one called me?
The confirmation hit like a physical blow. $52,000 gone. Lucas's first tuition payment due in weeks.
She was the co-trustee. I trusted her with everything.
Carol sat frozen, the blinking cursor still hovering beside that impossible balance. Her mind drifted back to the day that money took root. 18 years earlier, she and Shirley sat at the kitchen table, signing the 529 documents. Shirley had written the first check for $5,000.
I want to be a co-signer, Carol. That way I can keep an eye on my grandbaby's future.
When Lucas was born, Shirley had cradled him like spun sugar. She whispered promises into his tiny ear. But Donald had passed 2 years ago. Carol watched her mother quietly unravel, mistaking her silence for grief.
She never stopped crying over Dad. I thought she was just lonely.
Now, with his college fund hollowed out, those quiet months took on a sinister shape. She picked up her phone and dialed Shirley's number. It rang 6 times, straight to voicemail. The cheerful, oblivious recorded greeting felt like a stranger's voice. Carol hung up, the phone trembling in her hand. The woman who'd helped build this future had just torn it down, and she still didn't know why. The next morning, Lucas burst through the front door, waving a thick envelope. Carol braced herself.
Mom, I got in. State University. Full admission. You gotta see this.
Oh, honey, that's wonderful. I am so proud of you.
I still can't believe it. Can we start the transfer today? The housing deposit is due in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. I have 2 weeks to find $52,000.
She pulled him into a quick hug, her heart hammering against his shoulder. She had to buy time. After Lucas left, Carol returned to her laptop. She navigated to the plan's website and requested the complete statement archive. The automated system promised delivery within 2 business days. She clicked confirm.
Show me where the money went. Mom, every last cent.
She closed the laptop and stared at the empty screen, knowing that whatever the records revealed, the damage was already done. 2 days later, Carol sat in a bank office, a sealed envelope heavy in her hands. She tore it open and spread the pages across the desk. Line after line of withdrawals stared back. Weekly transfers, each triggered by Shirley's login. 8 months of steady draining. Carol ran her finger down the final column. The total was $52,180. Every cent she had saved, gone.
She didn't even hide it. Weekly, like a schedule, like something she had to do.
Carol gathered the statements and walked outside, her breath shallow. She dialed Brenda.
Aunt Brenda, it's me. I need your help. Mom drained Lucas's college fund. Every dollar.
What, Shirley? Are you sure? Tell me everything.
Carol detailed the withdrawals, the timing, the silence. Brenda listened without interrupting.
We need to find out where the money went. Bring the statements. I'll call Pastor David.
After 4 failed calls, Carol's voice cut through the line. She didn't wait for a reply. Within half an hour, she stood in Shirley's kitchen. Bank statements lay between them like a crime scene.
Look at this, Mom. Every week, for 8 months, you drained his whole future. $52,000.
I used it. I had emergencies. But I am going to put it all back. I swear on your father's name.
Emergencies. Why didn't you come to me? Why hide it week after week? We're family, Mom.
I didn't want to worry you. You had enough on your plate. I was going to fix it quietly.
Every single withdrawal happened on a Thursday. What kind of emergency is that, Regular? You are hiding something.
This is none of your concern. I said, I'll pay it back. Now please, just go.
Carol stared at her mother's trembling hands. There was no explanation, only deflection and anger.
She's lying. There's something worse behind this. Something that scares her more than me.
Carol returned to her laptop, the confrontation replaying in her mind. She logged into the 529 portal again, using her co-trustee credentials. She requested the linked external account records for every withdrawal. When the file arrived, she cross-referenced the dates. Every 529 withdrawal matched a same-day deposit into a newly opened savings account. Then, always within the same hour, a second transfer. Out of that account. Destination: Silver Creek Casino Loyalty Program.
A casino. She's been gambling, not once, not twice, but every single week for months.
She pulled up the casino's website. The loyalty program promised tiered rewards for consistent players. Shirley had reached diamond status. A crisp image of a loyalty card appeared on screen. Shirley's name, a point balance that could only be earned by losing tens of thousands. Carol's hands fell away from the keyboard. This wasn't a mistake. This was an addiction, hidden in plain sight.
After Dad died, she just faded away. I thought she was grieving, but she was feeding a machine.
Now, she had proof. But a casino receipt wasn't a plan. And Lucas's tuition deadline was still bearing down. Carol drove straight back to Shirley's condo without calling, the casino printouts heavy on the passenger seat. Shirley opened her mouth, but Carol brushed past her into the kitchen and dropped the folder on the table.
I know about Silver Creek. The loyalty card. The weekly transfers. Stop pretending.
That's nothing. I went a few times, maybe. It's a senior activity.
Carol spread the bank statements across the table. Every casino deposit highlighted in yellow.
The dates match exactly. You emptied his account at the slot machines.
All right. Yes. I gambled it all. I couldn't stop. After Donald died, it was the only thing that quieted my head. Please, Carol, don't tell Brenda. Don't tell the church. I'll fix it privately. Just give me time.
Carol looked at her mother's shaking hands. The same hands that once cradled Lucas, now stained by a slot machine's grease.
You are asking me to bury your shame while Lucas's tuition sits at the bottom of a slot tray.
The deposit deadline arrived. Lucas found his mother on the porch and demanded answers.
Mom, the payment failed. You said you'd handle it. The portal says 0.
Carol set down her coffee. She told him everything. The missing money, Shirley's addiction, the casino.
She emptied my college fund at a casino, and you kept that from me.
I didn't know until last week. She was a co-trustee. She had legal access. I trusted her.
Trusted her. You handed her the key. She's a thief, and you made it easy.
He stepped back, the swing jolting. His voice cracked with a fury that shook them both.
My whole future, gone. Because my grandmother chose slot machines, and my mother let her.
Carol reached for his arm. He pulled away and stormed into the house, his bedroom door slamming behind him. She sat alone in the dark office, the silence heavier than any argument. For the first time, she feared losing not just the money, but her son. By mid-morning, Carol sat at Brenda's kitchen table, the casino records spread between cold cups of coffee.
She admitted it. Aunt Brenda. Every Thursday for 8 months. Lucas is crushed, and I don't know whether to scream or dissolve.
Take a breath. There's something I never told you. Before she married Donald, Shirley lost an entire inheritance to slot machines. She swore she was clean for 40 years. But the compulsion never died. When Donald passed, she had no shield.
She's been fighting this for decades, and I just handed her the account login.
This isn't about blame. It's about family. She needs an intervention, not a police report. And she'll listen if the church reaches out.
Pastor David would help. He knew Dad. Can you call him?
Brenda de-aisled the pastor right there, her voice low and certain. An appointment was set for the following evening.
We'll tell her she's coming for a planning meeting. If she sees Lucas and the pastor waiting, maybe she'll stop running.
Carol left the kitchen with the smallest sliver of oxygen. An intervention was the last card, but it had to work. That evening, Carol, Brenda, and Pastor David gathered in his office. The bank records and casino loyalty card were laid on the desk like exhibits.
This is a sickness of the soul. The church can be a place of reckoning, not just accusation.
She can't know it's an intervention. I'll tell her we're planning a memorial bench for Donald. She won't refuse that.
She's already suspicious. When she sees Lucas there, she'll bolt.
We will close the door and not open it until she has heard everyone. We speak truth, wrapped in love.
They rehearsed the order. Carol would present the casino records. Brenda would invoke family honor, and the pastor would call for surrender.
Lucas is still furious. He called her a thief. I don't know if having him in the room will help or hurt.
He deserves to face her. This is his future. She gambled. He'll come.
Pastor David opened his Bible to the book of Isaiah, reading softly about bonds being loosed. The room settled into a tense, prayerful silence. That night, Brenda called Shirley with a prepared lie. Just a little planning meeting for Donald's memorial. Shirley, nothing to worry about. Shirley agreed. The trap was set. Shirley walked into the church meeting room, expecting folding chairs and a coffee urn. Instead, she found her family and her pastor waiting in grim silence.
What is this, Brenda? You said this was about Donald's bench. Why is Lucas here?
Sit down, Shirley. This is about something you've been hiding from all of us. The bench can wait.
I don't have to be interrogated. If this is about the money, I already told Carol. I'll pay it back.
Carol stepped into the light and opened the manila folder. The casino loyalty card landed on the table with a soft, damning clack.
Every Thursday for 8 months. The withdrawals match your casino deposits to the minute. Look at your grandson and tell him why.
It was my money, too. I helped start the account. I had every right to.
No, Shirley. We're done with lies. 40 years ago, you gambled away your parents' inheritance the same way. Donald covered it up. He's not here to protect you now.
Stop. Please. I just couldn't sit alone in that quiet house anymore. Every sound was him not being there. The slots, they made the noise stop. I know it's wrong. I know.
Pastor David placed a brochure for a gambling addiction inpatient program on the table. Shirley stared at it through tears, then nodded. She would leave that very night. The money was still gone, but the silence had finally been broken. Lucas watched from the curb as Carol helped Shirley into the passenger seat. The night air was thick with everything left unsaid.
So she's really sick. It's not just that she stole from me.
Addiction is a disease, honey. It doesn't erase the hurt, but it's not the same as malice.
The drive to the treatment center was muffled by the hum of tires and Shirley's stifled weeping from the back seat. At the facility entrance, a counselor in scrubs met them. Shirley clutched her purse like a life raft.
Carol, I'm so sorry. I'll make this right, I promise.
Shirley reached for her, and Carol let their shoulders touch. A half hug, cold and brief. She couldn't offer more. Then Carol turned and walked back to the car. The facility doors clicked shut, separating recovery from the wreckage it left.
She's where she needs to be. But Lucas's first term starts in 6 weeks. The money is still gone.
The drive home stretched longer than any miles she'd ever traveled. The weight of the unsolved debt pressed against her chest like a stone. The next morning, Carol sat Lucas down on the back porch and opened the laptop to the financial aid estimators.
Even with max loans and the small scholarship, we're still 30,000 short. I feel like we're drowning.
The 529 was the backbone. Without it, every option crumbles.
They'd met with a financial advisor the day before. The woman had been blunt. Without a substantial payment, no private lender would take the risk. Lucas pulled out the rejection letter from the last private bank they'd applied to. His jaw tightened.
Maybe I should take a gap year. Work, save, then go when we can afford it.
You are not giving up. There's still my car. I could sell it.
But Carol's sedan was 12 years old, and barely worth $4,000. They both knew it was a drop in the bucket.
It won't be enough. And Grandma's not exactly writing checks from her rehab bed.
Carol stared past the porch railing at the driveway. The car sat there, a useless symbol of everything they couldn't reach. From Shirley. I've been staring at the ceiling for 2 days. I want to sell the condo and put the money back. Can we talk? Carol stared at the words, then pressed call. Her mother's voice on the other end was raw, but steady.
I've been going over it with my counselor. The condo's paid off. If I sell it, I can pay back every dollar.
Mom, that's your home. You'd have nothing left. What about your own security?
I can live on Social Security. What I can't live with is what I did. I already spoke to a lawyer. They'll bring the papers tomorrow.
You'd give him everything. But I am not ready to forgive you. Not yet.
I know. This isn't about forgiveness. It's about him. I'll sign the power of attorney right now if you'll let me.
The silence stretched a full 5 seconds. Then Carol whispered, the only word that made sense. 2 days later, in a sterile conference room, a notary watched as Shirley signed the power of attorney over without hesitation. The condo was now legally Carol's to sell. The ink dried, marking the first real step toward mending the wreckage, but not yet the last. A for sale sign went up the next afternoon. The condo market was hot, and Carol priced it to move. Within a week, 3 offers arrived. The strongest, a young couple offering $187,000. All cash. She accepted on the spot. The sold banner draped over the sign before the week was out. The closing was quiet. A cashier's check slid across the table. $187,000 made out to Carol as trustee for Lucas.
That's 4 years of tuition and a solid down payment, more than what was taken.
She drove directly to the bank and opened an education trust, depositing every cent. The numbers on the screen finally matched the dream. Later that day, she sent Lucas a text. The condo sale went through. Full tuition is covered. $135,000 left for your first home one day. His reply came in seconds. Are you serious? I am shaking. Can we talk? Then Carol dialed the treatment center. Shirley's voice was fragile.
It's sold. Every cent is in a trust for him. You kept your word.
Lucas stared at the trust balance on his phone. The number should have felt like victory, but it only made his chest tighter.
187,000. She sold her home. For me. After stealing everything.
He tossed the phone aside and opened his laptop, the old admissions essay still on the screen.
This essay was a lie. I wrote about family support while my grandmother gambled my future.
He highlighted the entire text and pressed delete. His fingers hovered, then typed a new opening line. The day my grandmother admitted her addiction, I learned what strength really means. He wrote for 2 hours, the words raw and unpolished. Reputation didn't matter anymore, only truth.
I still can't look at her, but maybe I can see her, a person with a sickness, not a villain.
He saved the file. The essay wasn't complete, but a crack in his resentment had finally opened.
She gambled my future. She gave up her home. How do I hold both truths?
The inpatient program ended in October. Shirley moved into a sober living house and started outpatient therapy 3 times a week. She kept a journal, filling pages with cramped, honest cursive, a ledger of damage, and a map back from her first letter to Carol. I can't undo the Thursdays, but I will not spend another Thursday in that casino. Carol agreed to meet her at a quiet cafe. The first visit in 11 weeks.
I go to meetings every day. I have a sponsor. The silence is still loud, but I am learning to let it be.
I see the effort, Mom. But trust isn't rebuilt with a few months of meetings. It'll take time.
Shirley accepted it without argument. That, more than any promise, felt like progress. She attended weekly gambling addiction support groups, sitting in circles with others who knew the same compulsion.
She looks smaller, but clearer. The fog in her eyes is gone.
Carol still couldn't say she forgave her, but she no longer flinched when her mother's name lit up her phone. 14 months sober, Shirley walked into Lucas's high school graduation party. Balloons and a congratulatory cake brightened the room, but her hands still trembled. After the plates were cleared, Lucas stood and tapped his glass. The chatter died. Carol's breath caught.
I rewrote my admissions essay. It's not about test scores or achievements. It's about someone in this room.
Shirley's hand found the edge of the table. She knew. The room held its breath. Lucas unfolded a single typed page and began to read. His voice was clear, unflinching. The day my grandmother admitted her addiction, I learned what strength really means. She gambled away my future, but she gave up her home to give it back. We rebuilt together. Shirley's hands trembled. Tears slid down her cheeks, but she didn't wipe them away. When Lucas finished, the silence was heavy. Then Brenda started to clap. Carol rose and pulled her son into a tight embrace. Lucas crossed the room to his grandmother, who was still weeping. He knelt beside her chair. He didn't speak. He simply held her hands. The money was safe. The addiction was spoken aloud. And for the first time in 2 years, the family felt whole. After the guests filtered out, Carol and Shirley stepped onto the back porch. The night was quiet, the air finally still.
I forgive you, Mom. I won't carry the anger anymore, but I'll never co-sign another account with anyone.
I understand. I wouldn't trust me either. You are right to protect yourself.
The words hung in the air, not warm, but honest. A boundary built with love instead of resentment. Carol pulled up the trust statement on her phone. The numbers were stark and certain.
52,000 for 4 years of tuition. The rest, 135,000, holds for his first home.
More than we ever put in. He'll have a good start.
The next morning, Carol drove to the bank alone. She carried the final trust document in a sealed envelope. Inside, she locked the paperwork in a new safety deposit box. Only her name was on the contract. She would guard this future the way she always should have, fiercely and alone. The morning of move-in, Carol and Shirley stood in the driveway as Lucas wedged the last box into his trunk.
I'll call you as soon as I get my dorm assignment. Don't worry, okay?
Later, Shirley opened her palm. A bronze sobriety chip caught the light. 14 months.
I picked this up at my meeting today. 14 months. 1 day at a time.
That evening, they set the table for 4. The first family dinner in months that felt like a fresh start.
To Lucas, for your courage, and to this family, for staying in the fight.
This is what mending sounds like. Clinking glasses, not accusations.
Later, Lucas and Shirley sat across a chessboard in the sunroom. The game had returned to their routine.
Your move, grandson. And no mercy this time.
The chessboard held no secrets, only strategy, and the slow, steady rebuild of a game they both now knew how to play. Late that night, Carol stepped onto the porch alone. The stars were out, and the neighborhood was silent. She thought back to the June night when the screen blinked 342.18. 2 years had reshaped her entire world. Secrecy had nearly cost Lucas his future. Addiction had almost swallowed her mother whole, but truth, spoken aloud, had pulled them back. She wouldn't pretend the wounds had vanished, but they no longer bled.
I'll never trust the same way again. But maybe that's not a loss. Maybe it's just wisdom.
The porch swing creaked softly. She rested her head against the chain and let the quiet stretch. Her mother's recovery was real but fragile. Her son was building a life on a foundation she had once feared would crumble. She never co-signed another account, but she learned that even broken bonds can bear weight again if they are held openly. The moon climbed higher. Inside the house, her phone buzzed, a goodnight text from Lucas. She stayed a moment longer, then stood. Tomorrow would bring its own challenges, but she knew now she could face them. A few days later, the sunroom filled with morning light. Shirley and Lucas were already at the chessboard.
Your focus is scary, Grandma. I think I am actually losing this one.
I had a good teacher. Your grandfather taught me patience and sacrifice. 2 things I finally understand.
They laughed, a sound that a year ago had seemed impossible in that house. Later, Carol and Shirley walked through the neighborhood park, side by side. Neither spoke at first. The rustle of leaves and distant birds filled the quiet.
You know, this is what I missed most. Just being able to walk without an agenda.
Me too. I spent so long chasing something I couldn't hold. Now this is enough.
Carol reached over and took her mother's hand. No words were needed. They simply walked on. The camera pulled back, the path stretching ahead through the autumn trees, and the screen slowly faded to black.